change.
This is the news.
The Benue State Governor Samuel Ortom has suspended the operations of livestock guards and the state paramilitary agency saddled with enforcement of the state open grazing for a period of 2 weeks to allow all herdsmen with livestock in the state to leave. Ortom disclosed these at the end of the State Security Council meeting on Tuesday, after over 130 persons were gruesomely killed across the state within 1 week. He said the suspension was to show a good faith to all those who claim to have come into the state without knowing there is open grazing prohibition and Ranches Establishment Law of 2017 that is solely anti-grazing. He also said security agencies in the state have confirmed the receipt of President Muhammadu Buhari's directive to fish out perpetrators of the mass killings across the state. He urged security agencies to act fast on the matter in order to bring the victims of the attacks to justice. And Chad's ambassador to Germany has been expelled in a retaliatory move by Berlin after the Central African nation kicked out the European nation's ambassador last week. Germany's foreign ministry said Chad's Miriam Ali Musa has to leave the country within 48 hours. German ambassador to Chad, Jan Christian Gordon, left the country last Saturday after the military government expelled him. Chad ordered Mr. Kikri out of the country for what it said was due to his impolite attitude and lack of respect for diplomatic customs. He had been critical of the military-led government that has been in power since April 2021. Ambassador Kriki exercised his office in an exemplary manner and has worked for human rights and rapid transition to a civilian government in Chad. Plans for a ballot last year were formally delayed in October, prompting public protest. Chad's military government now plans to hold presidential elections next year. For the first time, New Zealand will see an equal number of men and women in its cabinet. This comes after Northland Member of Parliament Willow Yin Prime, who is of Maori descent, was promoted as a cabinet minister. The country elected one of the world's most diverse parliaments in 2020. It has the highest number of female lawmakers in the OECD and a number of Maori as well as LGBT. From Wednesday, there are 10 women and 10 male members in the cabinet. The Prime Minister said the decision to appoint Ms. Prime as a cabinet minister was based on the combination of her skills and existing portfolios. Ms. Prime holds the Conservation and Youth Ministerial portfolios. Ms. Prime's promotion also takes Maori representation in New Zealand's cabinet to a record of 6 ministers. You're listening to Global News from Adabai Chipanana FM Akure, transmitting from Ilamokin after the break. Civil war in Myanmar intensifies. These and more when we return.
The news on Adaba 88.9 FM.
Glad to know you're still there for news updates and live streaming. Visit our website www.adabai89.fm. You can be part of us on our social media platforms www.facebook.com/adabaifm80.9 on Facebook, at adabai89fm on Instagram, and adabaifm TV on YouTube. You can provide us information via email newsroom@adabai89.fm. Elon Musk said running Twitter has been quite painful and a roller coaster in a last-minute interview with BBC. The multi-billionaire entrepreneur also said that he would sell the company if the right person came along. Ms. Musk, who also runs car maker Tesla and rocket firm SpaceX, bought Twitter for $44 billion, about £35.4 billion in October. In the conversation in which Mr. Musk tried to do the interviewing as much as the other way around, defended his running of the company. Asked whether he had any regrets about buying Twitter, the world's second richest man said the pain level has been extremely high and that this hasn't been some kind of party. Talking about his time at the helm so far, Mr. Mock said it's not been boring, it's been quite a roller coaster. And more than 100 people are feared to have been killed in Tuesday's airstrike by the Miami military, one of the deadliest so far in the Civil War. The United Nations has condemned the attack, which targeted a village in the northwestern Sagaing region. The military has increasingly used airstrikes against their opponents since seizing power in February 2021. Spokesman for the military junta, General Zo Minton, told state television that the military launched the airstrike. He said they had chosen an attack because the village was holding a ceremony to mark the opening of an office for their local volunteer defense force. And the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, COP28 President Designate and UN Special Envoy for Climate Action and Finance have called for measures needed to accelerate climate action and finance. This is contained in the statement issued by the IMF Press Center, a copy of which was obtained by newsmen today in Abuja. The statement said Kristalina, Managing Director, IMF, and Dr. Sultan Ajaba, COP28 President Designate, co-chaired a roundtable discussion on Tuesday to discuss actions needed to urgently accelerate climate action and finance. McCartney, UN Special Envoy for Climate Action and Finance and co-chair of the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero, also co-chaired the discussion hosted at the IMF. Erling Haaland was called a monster and a beast as he broke the scoring record by a Premier League player in one season as Man City hammered Bayern Munich in the UEFA Champions League. The 22-year-old Norway striker fired in City's third in their 3-0 quarter-final first leg win to reach another landmark in his first season in English football. That was his 45th goal for Manchester City this season in just 39th game, a record for a Premier League player in our competitions. Haaland only touched the ball 28 times fewer than any other starting player for either team. To end global news, a recap of our top stories. A Chad's ambassador to Germany has been expelled in a retaliatory move by Berlin after the Central African nation kicked out the European nation's ambassador last week. And more than 100 people are feared to have been killed in an airstrike by the Miami military, one of the deadliest so far in the Civil War. The International Monetary Fund, the COP28 President Designate and UN Special Envoy for Climate Action and Finance have called for measures needed to accelerate climate action and finance. And that's Global News Editor Patience Ibe and Michael Akintunde. Good afternoon.
The world moves at a fast pace, and news breaks with the same speed.